Hello and welcome back to On the Workbench. Today we're taking a look at the brand new for 2022 Kobalt 24 volt max brushless portable handheld compact bandsaw. So this is probably the community's #1 most anticipated tool for quite a while, second perhaps only to a nailer or a line of nail tools. And so what we got here is the tool in hand, and the first thing we do, if you look at the tool grid, and there's nothing that's new in here that's not already on the job site radio. You want to see that tool grid, and there is a tool that was leaked in that tool grid. I'll put a video up or a card up in the corner for that. And so with this bandsaw, what we get are a few specs here. So this is advertising 2.5 by 2.5 inch cut capacity, weighs 7.3 pounds. The blade speed is 550 feet per minute with max comfort, whatever that means. I suppose that's tied to the weight. The other important spec is the blade length is 28 7/8 inches. And so now let's take a look and see how this comes. So we got our manual. We have the tool, auxiliary handle, and that's it. So let's go ahead and take this out of the bag. The blade is already attached to the tool. And so if you want the auxiliary handle, there's a slot right here where that would go. And now, just to make this interesting, if you keep all your tools together in a box or wherever, and you also have the angle grinder, just for fun, here's the angle grinder handle. You can see the wrenches in there. And we'll go ahead and give that a shot and see if that is also compatible. And indeed, that is also compatible. So that was a genius move, that if you've got some of these auxiliary handles in your box or your bag or your toolbox, any of those will work interchangeably with the bandsaw. And I know that the angle grinder also works with the polisher. So that's a very clever addition. So now, looking at the tool, we have a rafter hook here. This definitely seems a little bit cheaper and chintzier than what's on the XTR circular saw, but still there. Better to have it than not. We've got the vents on the motor here have this nice mesh on it to protect it. We've got Kobalt brushless labeling there. We've got our battery connector here on top. We've got our tension release. And then here on the back side, we have our our blade doors. See a little blue button there. Lift up on that, press that down, lift it up, and there's our blade. And we can see the blade going around the bearings here. Let's see if we can hold that up a little bit better there. You can see how there's stacked bearings there and stacked bearings in the rear to help guide that blade around these two pulleys. And it's also nice that they have the direction marked, at least on this one, so you can help to figure out when you're installing a replacement blade, which way to set your replacement blade. And then when you go to close this up, it looks like you have to actually press back up on those release buttons there to be able to lock it. It doesn't tap right back down. Would have been nice if they tapped right down, but they don't. And then the other piece of it is the tension release right here on the side. So if I release the tension, and we come back over here, there we go. Now we can see There is slack in the blade here, so we could go ahead and remove it. I'm going to go ahead and just close this up here, and then we will re-tension the blade just like that. So now when it comes to finding replacement blades, at the moment, the only replacement blades that I was able to find at Lowe's were these from Bosch. And they only came in one size, and that was 18 teeth per inch. Really by size, I should say tooth count. And this is listed as steel, metal, PVC, and wood. So a multi-material blade, and this does come in a 3-pack for about $20. And that's the same length. So I picked that up when I ordered the saw, so that I could also have some extra replacement blades. So now the next thing I want to do is I want to measure the cut capacity up here. It was advertised as 2.5 inches, but let's see how true that 2.5 actually is. We'll turn this around like this, because we're going to have to fit the workpiece between the bearing and this guide plate here. Let's see if we can see this. I'll slide this up in here as best as I can to follow the blade. If you get between the bearing and the end, we're maybe at 2 11/16 on the actual width. And then the cut capacity is really going to be from here up. This is a little bit awkward because of the way it's kind of, it depends on how long of a piece that you're cutting off. But if we go up to the roof, if you will, here, like this, from the bottom of the blade to that is coming in, that looks pretty spot on at 2.5 inches there. So it looks like we've got a little bit of space here, but if you're cutting off just a little bit, and by little bit, I mean probably about 1.25 inches, you wouldn't have that same restriction by coming up underneath the tool, because then the top of that would be up above here. The other thing I should point out here, this rafter hook, unfortunately, does not really function very well as a kickstand for being able to have this set up to be able to use for some other bit of carving. It would have been nice if they would have found a way that between the motor and the rafter hook, you could set up as a kickstand like this to set it up if you need it, and to secure it somehow, where you could use it for being able to do some other small parts cutting if you were a finished carpenter. But they didn't do that on this here. I think this is targeted more towards plumbers and electricians than it is finished carpenters. All right, so the box claimed it was 7.3 pounds as a bare tool. We'll give that a test. I borrowed my wife's kitchen scale again. At some point, I need to get her a new one. And now we'll give this a little check to see how well. This might be a little bit awkward to get this on here just right. There we go. Let me change the mode. And that is showing 7.364 pounds. So the box is pretty spot on with how much it claims that it weighs. Now, let's see how well this can cut. But before we cut, we've got to do a few little battery checks here. The first one is going to be to check how well it works with the ultimate output battery. This is a tool that I could easily see using with a larger size battery, and the ultimate output has a different dimension than the others. And so we'll put that on, and we will give this a quick check. There's a safety button right here. Push that. And from using the trigger here, there is no variable speed on the trigger. It's one speed and one speed only. And there is no issue with the ultimate output battery. Obviously, you could use the 2 amp hour battery on this. I think this is probably better suited for at least a 4 amp hour battery. And if you're really crazy, There's always the large 6 amp hour battery. Of course, there's the 8 amp hour battery that will be coming soon, hopefully later in 2022, but this is also a valid combination too. Now, let's see how well this cuts, and I've got some different materials that we're going to give this a shot on. Just to keep this test interesting, I'm going to be using a 2 amp hour battery, fully charged. Hopefully you can see all 4 green bars there. And then now the first thing that we might want to try to cut is this 4x4, except for the fact that this 4x4 doesn't fit. So we'll go ahead and get rid of that one immediately. Do you think we can cheat with some 3-inch PVC? Unfortunately, that is also going to be a no. All right, now I'm going to try cutting this piece of trim. Got to make sure you have enough clearance for the tool. No problem. Now let's up the ante. I got a piece of 3/4 inch EMT conduit here, and we will try cutting ourselves a section of the EMT conduit. Safety glasses on. Very easy. We'll do that again. There we go. Clearly no issue with the EMT conduit. Now let's up the ante a little bit more. I've got some black pipe here. This is a 3/4 inch black pipe. This is used technically for building furniture with, but it's a structural pipe, Schedule 30, not for plumbing applications, but should be representative of cutting a little bit larger, thicker pipe. So let's give this a shot. No problem, cuts just fine. So no problem with the steel there. And finally, our last item we're going to cut is going to be this 12 gauge piece of unistrut. And so we'll give this a little test here and see how well it does on the unistrut. No problem. Tool cuts it just fine. So one final tidbit for using the saw, unlike what you saw earlier, I definitely recommend that you are able to hold down the scrap piece that's going to fall off, or just think about how you're supporting the work, that it's not binding at the bottom or pinching the blade, that because this is a 1/2 inch thick, because this is a rather tall blade, make sure that you're not pinching the blade with the piece that you're cutting as you're supporting the work. So just be mindful of how you're supporting your work and the end being cut off so that you're not pinching that, and you should be in good shape while using the tool. All right, so there you go. You just saw the tool cut through a bunch of different metals here and wood. We know it'll cut through PVC, not really a major issue with that. However, I would say if you're thinking about cutting through PVC, if you've got a chance to use the shears, I would do that before I reach for a saw. any day, because there's nothing worse than having to clean up the plastic dust that comes from cutting PVC pipe. With that being said, what do I think about this tool? I think this tool works fantastic as a metal cutting tool, at least if you can fit it within that 2.5 inch and maybe just a hair more diameter, which should be perfect for plumbers, electricians, and perhaps other metal working tasks you might have around your shop. And that's probably the sweet spot for this here. At 179, 180 bucks, give or take. Is it worth it? Probably. If you're thinking about buying this tool and you're in one of those trades, I would at least give it a shot and see what you think about it. I don't think you can go wrong with it. It definitely cuts things well. The biggest thing is always going to be making sure you've got a sharp blade in any saw that you have, and making sure that the tool is well cared for, as well as having a charged battery. And I think if you keep a good blade on here, you should be in business for quite a while. The only issue is going to be, obviously, as that blade wears down, it's going to cut less efficiently. It's going to be a bigger drag on the battery. And the longer the battery, the more runtime you're going to have on it. So after all the cutting you saw earlier, it was 4 bars to start with, and we are still at 4 bars on just a 2 amp hour battery. So I'm impressed. I thought that would probably taken it down at least 1 bar, but nope. So that tells me it's got some level of efficiency to it too. So I've got to say I'm happy with this. Now, I'm not a plumber or electrician by trade, but if I were, I'd at least give it a shot. So if you've got any other ideas, creative uses for this, put it down in the comments below. We'd love to hear about it. If you like content like this, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Click the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day. Bye.